Alright, so in this video, we will be performing a demo on how you can unsanction some apps, block access to some generative AI apps, even social networking sites. Two users in your organization which are using endpoints that are onboarded to Defender XDR portal that are onboarded to Defender for endpoint. So let's get started right away. So I'm on the Defender XDR portal, which is with this URL security.microsoft.com. And then from here, you need to go to the Cloud Apps area. This is the one that I'm talking about, the Cloud Apps area, which is situated right under the email and collaboration area. So inside of the Cloud Apps area, you would want to navigate to the Cloud App Catalog, which contains a catalog of all the cloud apps that have been pre-classified, pre-identified by Microsoft to make your work much easier. So you have cloud apps which are pre-classified in terms of being hosting services, in terms of being IT services related cloud apps, business management apps, productivity apps, and if I'm not mistaken, you have generative AI apps as well, a main area of concern, generative AI apps. Beautiful. So if I go to the generative AI app section, you have a bunch of cloud apps such as Microsoft Copilot, Microsoft Bing Chat, Copilot Studio, and Google Gemini, Amazon Code Whisperer, Amazon Polly, Kendra, Google Assistant, Google DeepMind, so on and so forth. So I've already blocked Google Gemini in and tagged that app as being an unsanctioned app to block an access to this particular app if user tries to access this app from an endpoint that has been onboarded to Defender for endpoint, right? So again, to block this app, you need to go to the three dotted symbol button. If you click on this, it gives you a capability to tag this app as being a sanctioned app or being an unsanctioned app. So sanctioned app means you have identified this app in your organization and based upon the security guardrails that your organization follows, you decided, well, I want to give an access to the users inside of my organization to this particular cloud app. Now, marking this or tagging this app as being an unsanctioned app means that because of some of the other concerns, you want to block an access to this cloud app for the users inside of your organization as far as governing them through endpoints onboarded to Defender for Endpoint is concerned. So make sure that you select this option of marking or tagging this app as being unsanctioned if you want to perform the demo on your own end. All right. And one more thing I would like to tell you guys is if you click on this Google Gemini app or any other app in this case, it gives you a rating from 0 to 10, with 10 being the worst and 0 being the best. Sorry, 10 being the best and 0 being the worst. Totally said it wrong. All right. So it says, well, in general, this app has a rating of 8 on a scale of 0 to 10. And security wise, this app has a rating of 10, right? So this is this is pre written by Microsoft. This is pre-approved by Microsoft based on the security benchmark that Microsoft as a corporation follows. If you're concerned with securities and compliances, so again, you have a rating of 10 for this Google Gemini app based upon compliances because it is compliant with ISO 27001, HIPAA. If I'm not mistaken, HIPAA is compliance policy as far as health organizations are concerned. It's also compliant with ITAR, GLBA, then FedRAMP level, right? FedRAMP is, I think, something related to the federal US government. PCI DSS, which is payment card industry compliance policies, and a whole bunch of them. Okay, so I think I have blocked Google Gemini and Bard as well, Google Bard. So earlier, Google Gemini was previously known as Bard. So you know, if I go to google.bard.com, uh, I will not be allowed to access Google Bard or Gemini in this case. And I think I've also blocked Facebook. Now, before we can move on to discussing or seeing the end result of establishing this unsanctioned kind of block policy, there's some settings or configurations that you need to set in place. So I'll go to the settings area, which is situated right inside of the systems tab. So go to the settings area. And from here, first of all, you need to navigate to the endpoints section. So if I go to the endpoint section, inside of the advanced features, which is in the general tab, there should be a feature to connect Defender for Endpoint with cloud apps. So if you scroll down a bit, Yeah, you need to toggle this custom network indicator setting to on, right? So what it does, it configures devices to allow or block connections to IP address, domains, or URLs in your custom indicators is. And that is exactly what we are trying to do. And if you scroll down a bit, this option for connecting Defender for Endpoint to Defender for Cloud Apps also needs to be toggled on. So it forwards Defender for Endpoint signals to Cloud Apps, giving administrators deeper visibility into both sanctioned Cloud Apps and Shadow IT. It also gives them the ability to block unauthorized applications, just what we are trying to do when the custom network indicators setting is turned on. Yeah, so we have turned on the custom network indicator setting, and it's gonna do the stuff of blocking apps, the task of blocking apps for us. Then if you scroll on a bit, you can see this indicators area, which is right under the rules section. So if you go to the indicators section and then navigate over to the URL and domains area, this one that you can see on your screen. If you go over there, there should be a list of domains that have been blocked as part of policies executed in your organization. So if you notice, I have blogged facebook.com, bard.google.com, and Google Gemini. In fact, so it tells me, well, the execution of these apps have been blocked as part of administrator action by the organization. And the scope of policy for blocking the execution of these apps is applied to all devices that are onboarded to Defender XDR portal, that are onboarded to Defender for Endpoint. Beautiful. Now there's one more thing that we still need to do. We need to go to the settings area again, and now this time, instead of going to the endpoints area, we will now go to the cloud apps section. So if you go to the cloud apps section, there's one thing that we still need to do. So under the cloud apps section, you need to go to, I think there should be, yeah, you need to go to the Microsoft Defender for Endpoint area, which is situated right under the Cloud Discovery tab. So if you go to the Defender for Endpoint area, uh, you need to check this checkbox on. You need to toggle this checkbox on. This stands for Enforce App Access. It says enabling this will block access to apps that were marked as unsanctioned, exactly what we want, and will deliver a warning on access and allow bypass to apps marked as monitored. This is exactly what we want. So you need to make sure that this is checked on. Beautiful. All right. And then please don't forget to hit the save button, or else all your efforts will go into vain, and you'll enter a loop of frustration as I myself entered while I was trying to create this demo. So make sure you do not repeat the same mistake as me. All right. Now we are pretty much done with setting all the configurations into place and creating the policies in the very first place, right? Now let's go to a VM or the endpoint that we had created as part of testing this policy. And if you notice, this VM is onboarded to my Defender for Endpoint, my Defender XDR portal. So if I go to the assets, and under the assets, if I go to the devices area, you can see this VM is onboarded to Defender for Endpoint. And I think the name of the VM is Demo VM in this case. All right. So I'll go to my VM, and first of all, I'll try to access gemini.google.com. Yep. Okay. Once again, oops, I entered the wrong URL. Yep, there we go. So it says this website is blocked by organization. Contact your administrator for more information. It's working absolutely the way we want, right? It's giving me a pop-up button saying the website is blocked by organization and hence you cannot access the app. Now, if I try to access bar.google.com, it also says this website is blocked by organization. And if I try to access facebook.com, again, it says this website is blocked by organization. Awesome, awesome. All right, so I forgot to tell you guys one more thing that you can create certain policies for handling all of the cloud apps that are included in the cloud app catalog as soon as they are discovered. So let's say as soon as a new generative AI application is discovered, you can create a new policy which is in fact going to get triggered as soon as that new cloud app is discovered in the cloud app catalog, and will block an access to the to that app immediately as far as accessing that application from endpoints onboarded to Defender XDR portal is concerned. So Again, it's fairly simple. You go to the Cloud App Catalog area, which is under the Cloud Apps section. And from here, you click on New Policy from Search, this button, right? So if you click on New Policy from Search, you give any policy name, and then to trigger a policy, you give it a filter, right? Apps matching all of the following. So I think filter would be, let's say, a category, right? A category equals generative AI. So let's say I select category as being generative AI. Uh, so all the apps which are included in the category of the Cloud App Catalog of generative AI, I'm going to block those apps. And to do that, I will perform some governance actions, right? And these governance actions could be tagging that app as sanctioned, tagging that app as being unsanctioned, as monitored, and then building a custom tag as well. But the best way to go about this is tagging that app as being unsanctioned, because generative AI apps, I think, are very, very deeply concerned with having, or deeply doubted with having, data losses for organizations. And if I remember correctly, when ChatGPT came into place for the very first time, uh, source code of, I think, Samsung, it was Samsung as a company in this case, was got leaked because the users or the employees of Samsung prompted ChatGPT with for debugging their source code. And as a result, it led to their data loss as an organization. So I think the best way to go about it is setting a policy and creating a condition on the policy, like as in if the category of the app that is in the Cloud App Catalog of being a generative AI application, I would like to tag that as being unsanctioned. And because you can also send an alert to the concerned authorities, right? So you can send an alert for the IT administrator, well, saying, hey, a new cloud app of the category generative AI application was discovered. Well, as part of the governance actions, we have tagged that app as being an unsanctioned app. We have marked that app as being unsanctioned. But yeah, we highly suggest you take a look into the application that was newly discovered and take further actions. So, a flow could look something like this. So with this video, we had a look at how you can block access to various apps, as far as governing all these actions from devices or endpoints that are onboarded to Defender for Endpoint or the XDR portal is concerned. And I think it's going to come in very handy as far as generative AI apps are concerned. So with generative AI applications springing up day by day, the Cloud App Catalog is going to help you discover and fix these generative AI applications into one segment, from wherein you can take certain governance actions, like the one that I told you just about. So it's going to act as a first aid system for your organization, right? So uh, you can straight away block access to this generative AI applications as part of first aid remediation step. And after you have checked in whether this generative AI application is is not violating any of the security guardrails or any of the security policies or configurations that your organizations um, follow, you can move on to allowing an access to to these generative AI applications via putting some conditional policies in place. So again, this step can be made to act as the first aid step, right? A quick remediation step for blocking access to generative AI applications, uh, for again preventing a whole bunch of attacks like data exfiltration, data loss policy, acting as data loss prevention policies, uh, and a whole bunch of other cyber attacks. All right, so I guess that's pretty much it for the video. Was a really really interesting one, and I think it's going to help you a lot in building your use cases for your organization and even implementing them at a large scale, as far as cybersecurity for your organization is concerned. Um, that's pretty much it. With this, let's quickly move on to the next set of videos.